Get 'em.
Welcome, folks. Y'all come on in and make yourself at home. This here, well, this is the Rolling Thunder Podcast, your home for all things Rolling Thunder. This episode is brought to you by Mossy Oak, because everything is better in Bottomland. Kent Cartridge, quality matters, performance counts. Shen Gear, waterfowl gear that is built better. And Benelli USA, dominate the skies.
Bottomland is Mossy Oak's original camo pattern created by Toxie Hayes over 3 decades ago. This pattern preserves the original design while applying advanced technology for increased effectiveness. The same field-proven components and colors, the same dirt and bark elements, the same ability to blend into dark environments and obscure a hunter's outline from every angle. Mossy Oak, Bottomland.
Spencer, what does that mean?
That's the sound of a celebratory.
Sweet, sweet victory. The other sound you hear is another sound of sweet, sweet victory.
Yeah, that's just a
together.
couple day old. After the grease has been hot, victory.
Boy, that is good.
Yes, it looks good. All right, you gonna kick this off, or you need me to? You kick it off. You're the host.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rolling Thunder Podcast.
Yeah,
Woohoo!
we are beyond the hunt.
Yes, we are. We're beyond a few hunts, I believe.
Pile of them. I may not have made Sunday's Instagram post, but by gosh, I made the Beyond the Hunt episode.
And that's all that matters.
That's correct.
You hear that? That's also the sound of a celebratory in the background. What a day. What a day.
It's been a pretty stiff 5 or 4 day stretch coming out hot in the Tennessee turkey season here.
You know, it's been kind of all or nothing. It's not been
That's
like
exactly right.
It's not been just a consistent. You talk to people, and you know, there's not been a lot of roost gobbling for anybody, but there's been a lot of midday hunting going down, and so it's Tuesday of the first week.
Yep.
And Saturday. So on today's podcast, we've got Drake Levy, 3-time world champ.
Sorry,
Champ Levy.
turkey nugget.
Yep, chewing turkey nugget. We got William Frawley, our host. We've got special guest Uncle Mike Atkinson, and yours truly. But we vowed to have a Beyond the Hunt this week because Drake killed one on Sunday, got mighty close on Saturday.
Sorry,
Was
Lauren.
it the same bird, you think?
Could have been.
Can't answer that question. That farm's got entirely too many to say.
Well, I'd say the first encounter I had Sunday morning, well, it was definitely the same bird from Saturday, but I don't know about the one that I killed.
Killing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yep. Dandy Farm. Dandy Farm. Our old buddy across the street, Corbett Moss, it's one of his secret spots. And there's a pretty beefy list of first turkeys that have been killed on that farm. And it's one of those places, it's like, you know, you can't judge a book by the cover, because when you drive through there, you're like, this place is terrible. In fact, a very notable Rolling Thunder guest turned his nose up at it about a year ago and said, I don't think I'm going to go back there the next morning. And the next morning, a turkey got killed there. That me. We don't say any names because we don't want to hurt Michael Boozer's feelings.
We always like to hurt Michael Boozer's feelings.
Sorry, Uncle Boozer.
He bless his heart, we were in South Carolina a couple weeks ago, and this turkey was standing out in the middle of the field, and he yelped a couple times. It didn't do anything, and I yelped, and it gobbled, and he turned around and he looked at me and said, okay, this is your show. I don't do field turkeys. I was like, okay, snob. But, yeah, that place you hunted, Drake, is Jeff Farmer's son killed his first turkey there, and Maddie's killed one there. Corbett's kids have killed a couple there. It's crazy how many turkeys have come off that farm and how many more are still there. I mean,
Lauren was supposed to kill one, slept in.
Bless her heart.
Yep.
I saw her pictures on Instagram.
I did too.
I'll be honest, I giggled. I was like, bless her heart. I guarantee you she was pouty on Sunday when you come home with a dead gobbler.
Yep. I wasn't too pouty.
That's just one of those. You just kind of look at it and go, sorry about your luck.
Yep. That's right.
Can't kill him from the couch.
Half of us being there.
And Frawley, Mary Kate got one.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. I'll go into the details of the story, but from when we sat down to when she shot it, she'd acted like she'd been hunting as long as I have.
That's awesome.
I mean, and she said, well, I've heard you talk about it enough. I feel like I have done it as long as you have. I was like,
she
I guess it's
like all the
true.
rest of our daughters and wives, she probably was just scared of screwing up, and
Yeah.
so she just held still.
Yeah.
No, she was bound and determined. When she realized how close they were, she was like, oh, I'm killing one of these turkeys. And did awesome.
Well, we had a pretty decent encounter Saturday morning, but it was late in the morning. We've got this one group of gobblers on the farm that are living together, and if you're close to them on the roost, it sounds like a Texas Rio roost. I mean, it's like, we've got 100 gobblers, and then they fly down, they quit gobbling. They're real young. They're 2-year-olds, gotta be. And anyways, we did not hear them on the roost on Saturday morning, and that was pretty deflating. We got involved with them about 9:45, and they cut me off. We were walking back to the truck, cut me off, got set down, got a decoy out, cut me off 2 more times, and we're closing distance, and the farmer decided it was the best day to spray, whatever they spray this time of year, getting ready to plant, and they turned tail, and my kids were like, time to eat breakfast. Grammy's making pancakes. And I was like, so I was, the weekend was anticlimactic for me. I spent the weekend at Brad Bondurant's wedding, which was wonderful for Brad Bondurant and my cousin, but it did not include killing a turkey, which was kind of what I had planned.
Yeah.
We were almost late to the wedding that we went to Saturday afternoon because Mary Kate shot a turkey. But we made it on time. It was fine.
Who schedules a wedding on opening weekend of turkey season?
Well, and no, I hope Brad and Hannah aren't listening to this, but to make it matters worse, Brad's wedding was on a Sunday afternoon at 4:30. So we had to be at the rehearsal on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Oh, man.
So I had to get from Shelby Forest back here in time to shower and get everybody, dolled up. We had to leave here at 3. It was in North Mississippi. So it was a half-day affair on Saturday, a half-day affair on Sunday. I got up yesterday morning on Monday, hunted with a buddy here in town. As pretty a farm as there is in Fayette County. Mike killed one across the street. And I was like, this is going to be great. We're going to kill, 74 this morning and bring them in. We're going to run out of places to hang them up on the front porch. Did not hear a gobble.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went to bed last night kind of sore, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And Boozer texted me overnight and was like, you okay, pal? Like, hadn't heard from you in a while. I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, you stay off of my... I've only had 3 days, and 2 of them were wedding festivities. I don't want to...
Him and all them blue bonnets.
Yeah. He's been hunting for...
that's right.
He's been hunting since March 22nd. He's been hunting for a month. He's been to Texas and back. It was like, I don't want to hear it, But, anyways, we're looking at a dead turkey, and... man, we started out this morning, and it felt exactly the way Saturday, Sunday, and Monday felt, didn't it? I mean, we were 20 minutes early. It was dark. We drank a cup of coffee waiting on it to get, Mike said, the earliest one I've heard was 5:42.
Wow.
And then he was like, most of them have been gobbling at 10 to 6. And it was like, some of them been gobbling at 6. Some have been gobbling at 5 after 6. And we're sitting there at like 6:15 just going,
Where are
Somebody
they?
forgot to tell the turkeys what today was.
Somebody didn't set their watch back.
Yeah.
How many times do you shake your head turkey hunting?
Gosh,
You
a lot. Come
predict
on.
it. You just predict it. And you think it's right there, and it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
And we had crows fire up about 5:35 this morning, like the earliest crows I've ever heard. I heard that, I was like, oh, this is going to be trouble for these turkeys. And then a bunch of owls fired up. I mean, it was everything you wanted.
Do y'all have any
Calm.
honkers fly over?
We had a group of 6 fly over, and it was like, geez. So we were pretty kind of discouraged. I mean, we had a handful of places to check, but we left this new farm that Mike had bought, which is unbelievable. I mean, it's the most pretty hardwoods you've ever seen. And Mike's been telling me about it for, nearly a year now, and they've been working on it. Derek's been doing a bunch of road work and put some food plots in. And I mean, we stood behind a cedar. I'll put it to you this way. We stood behind a cedar this morning because Mike said they're going to be roosted in that tree right there. Like, I fully expected I was going to sit on that cedar and he was going to fly down. Didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah. I was, again, shaking my head. Yeah. Like,
so we left there at entirely too early. It was, I guess, 8 o'clock or something. I mean, it took us a while to walk out. We'd heard a bird, and we kind of we heard him gobble a couple times, and we kind of tried to get where we could hear him better. But we swung back by the shop and refilled our cup of coffee, which is critical for me. And we were headed to check another spot. And I told Mike, I said, I've been seeing one. This spot I got permission. Why don't we swing by? And he goes, whatever you want to do. He's like, I mean, it's your bird. You don't have to kill it today if you don't want to. And I was like, well, let's just drive by. Well, that was at 7:40.
Okay.
We pull down right here by the house. And I said, just stop right here on this little bridge and let me look. And we looked, and sure enough, Harry was standing right on the edge of the woods. About that time, Levi and Tripp pass us. I was like, don't look suspicious, We kind of got around, and he wasn't strutting, but when I saw him, I knew it was him. I knew it was a long beard. It was the same bird that we'd messed with Tripp. He's been roosted in the same spot for a month and a half. And told Mike, I was like, I think we can get – there's this little field. He just walked into these woods. I think we can just pop into this little field, sit down, yelp a couple times. He'll have to come up over this little rise in order to see us. And, I mean, so we parked the truck. We were about maybe 250, 300 yards from where we needed to set up. And we didn't get 200 yards, and he gobbled. And we hustled like the last 75 yards, and he gobbled 3 more times, and he was steady coming to us. We just happened to be in front of him, which in the grand scheme of things, knowing what a turkey likes to do is a real unfair advantage as a human. I mean, because not only am I driving by this poor, unsuspecting soul every day, all of y'all are driving by him.
Oh, yeah.
Kids are driving by him. Everybody I know is driving by him coming to work. And we tried to get kind of set up, and he was moving quick enough we couldn't get in front of him. And you can go from there. Mike was like, you want me to yelp? And I was like, absolutely. I'm going to crawl up in front of you. I'd love to not be the person calling.
Yeah, when Spence was, he said, let's go over this hill. Well, the turkey we heard him gobble once, and then he gobbled again, but every time he gobbled, he was 5 yards farther and actually getting closer to us. We're trying to get to the trees before he would be able to see us, and the next thing you know, he gobbled, and he was 60 yards probably. We got in the woods, and Spence got right ahead of me and went ahead and got the gun up, and we haven't done anything. I said, you want me to call a bit? And he said, yeah. So I was doing real soft yelps, and he was gobbling at it and looking in the woods and getting closer. And I took my rangefinder and I shot him with my rangefinder. I was hiding behind Spence, and he was 42 yards. And I whispered that, but I don't know if he heard it or not. But it was a little bit of a thickish.
Just in full disclosure, we've both reached the age where we can't hear either one of us because I was steady going, how far do you think he is? And he was saying 42, and neither one of us heard either one of it.
Yeah, my first response to my wife always is, huh. Yeah. It's just terrible how bad it's got.
Yep.
But he kept, I thought he was going to shoot at one point where he had a kind of a good shot, but he didn't. And the turkey didn't see us at all, but he kind of quit, and he said, well, obviously the hen's not right there. So he went on down the field and gobbled. I don't think he gobbled anymore.
He waited a
went
few
on
minutes.
down.
It was probably 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then we made a big move. I mean, Spence obviously knows exactly. He must watch him from a drone or something, because he was telling me exactly where he's going, and that's exactly what he did.
I've listened to this pattern for the last 5 years without hunting these birds. So.
That's a big demise for turkeys when they start getting that predictable.
Yeah.
They just can't. They're not going to survive some of
I
the-
did say to Mike, we were walking up to the first set, and he gobbled about 6 times in a matter of 45 seconds. I looked at Mike, and I was like, that was a real bad idea for him. like I already know where he's going, but if he continues to gobble every 2 steps he takes, this is not going to be very difficult.
Tell us exactly where he is, so those 2 Indians can go sneak up and
Right.
get the spot. So we moved on around, and we got to a spot where it was a little hedgerows, probably 15 yards wide, 10 yards
little
wide.
skinny finger.
And on one end was a barn, on the other end was kind of a shed, and they were both dilapidated. And I got in the one on one end, and Spence took off down about 50 yards because the turkey was over a rise that he knew exactly where it was. And he set up, and I said, well, I'll call back here because he's probably going to hung up. He's been messed with for 10 days now or whatever. And we did that, and he started gobbling, and we were texting back and forth. And he was saying, well, he's coming this way. I couldn't see him because of the rise, and it got pretty interesting, and he got all the way down the corner, and then I could see him, and I think he was going to break and at least come up close to probably 80 yards from me then.
Yeah.
And he started breaking. He looked like he was about to break. I quit calling because I thought I was going to hang him up if I called him.
He was standing in the shadows.
Yeah.
And
he stayed in the shadows.
He did not
there.
want to step into the sunshine. I've never seen it quite as bold as he was. He stayed on the edge of the woods, and I mean, when I say he gobbled every breath, he was gobbling like he would go, ow, take a breath, ow, ow, and if you stopped calling, he would gobble more than if you were calling. I mean, he gobbled at everything.
Dang.
Wow.
It was nonstop.
So we're thinking he's going to come on up the line, and a fertilizer truck comes down the road. It sounded like might as well be, 3 Apache helicopters going by. And he just looked up and just ran as fast as he could into the woods.
Gone.
I'm like, well, Spence is like, well, he just got boogered. And I'm like, well, let's just hang tight, Just sent back.
Yeah.
Let's just hang, whatever. And he literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, he was gobbling again. And I don't know if he came. I couldn't see down there.
He walked back out to where he was.
Yeah, he did, but he kind of stayed there. Then he came around the corner on the left side behind. How they do. I don't know how they know to just make it hard sometimes. That's when he becomes unpredictable.
Yeah, I should have known better. After he boogered on that fertilizer truck, I should have known he was going to come a different line,
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to come the line he was thinking about coming when the fertilizer truck bumped him. And then,
Now he sure ain't coming down that way.
And he stood back there and he gobbled another 30 times. But
that shows you that Spence is such a turkey hunter, right? Because he's Monday morning quarterbacking, and the turkey's hanging right there. We should have turned that way. We went with that. It's always that way, isn't it? Even when you kill him, you're like, well, we
should have done this different.
Yeah. But he came on around, and I was on the west side of the barn where he was, and he'd gone around to the east side of where Spence is saying he went, and I turned around, I couldn't see him, so I was crawling through this whole barn to peek out, and then boom! I'm like, oh yeah, boom!
Oh no!
that second shot sucks.
And
never good to hear a follow up in the turkey woods.
I don't mind hearing it when Spence is duck hunting because I know he's killed two.
Yeah.
He shot twice.
That's
he's
about
killed
right.
two.
Yeah. He don't miss much.
No, he doesn't miss much. And I ran out there, and he's looking around, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes down to the crossing. He looks, and he's still doing his hands. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I do know what's going on, but we got to get together and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'll let you take it from there.
I can see
Spence.
Spence now stressing, hand going through the hat.
Just fixing my hat off,
breathe.
threw it down.
Thinking, where's my coffee at?
And after, I had my coffee was. So here's a crazy story. I'm carrying a fresh cup of coffee because we filled up here, and as we're walking in, right about the time we're going to cross this first ditch, I set my coffee down. It's full, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not happy. I'd like to take my coffee with me, so I set it down. I'm like, all right, whatever. I walk 10 feet with coffee. He gobbles. I I shot the turkey 60 yards from the dang coffee cup. Like, anyways, we make, so he basically just makes this loop, and when he comes back out, and I hear him, he's kind of hung up in this little, I'm in this finger, Mike's on one end, I'm on this other end, and there's a road that cuts between there, and after that fertilizer truck boogered him, you know, he's thinking that we're on this far north end of this finger. Doesn't matter to him whether he comes up on the east side or the west side. And there's a nice, you know, there's lots of cover over there. And there's a big dirt mound, like where the farmers pushed up, you know, some trash out of the field or whatever, that I'm sitting on. And he gobbles and gobbles. And, I mean, after about 8 or 10 times that he gobbled, he got quiet. And then the next time he gobbled, it was obvious he was on the east side of this finger. And I spun around, and I'd sat by that little pile of dirt just because I figured if he does something goofy, he's got to come out into this field to interact with us. If he does something goofy, he'll come around behind us, and I got enough cover between me and him to spin around, you know, shoot. So I kind of got in position, and then he gobbled again, and I could see him. And I had one window, and I was looking, and I mean, I had my map up, and I struggled to see good, so I was criticizing the distance. And after already letting him walk off at 40, not sure if it was 55 or 60 or what, you know, I was like, you know how you kind of put that little pressure on yourself, and you're like, he cannot get inside 40-ish again without some TSS.
Well, something happening,
Yeah. And, but at the same time, I'm also, like, really not wanting to booger this bird up that, you know, is right here in the neighborhood. And he kept walking out, and Mike, I did not know whether Mike could see him or not, but Mike called. And he had kind of been quiet for a while. When he called, he turned and he looked right at Mike and kind of turned and started walking to us. And so on my map, visually, I could see this road that kind of cut through the field, and I had it pegged at like 100 and just over 100 yards. And I had in my mind and then visually about half of that, so roughly 50-ish. And he was solid my side of half, which I gauged to be 40 to 45. I think it turned out to be 46 or 47. And he took 2 more steps, and he got into the open, and I was, you know, down on the gun, and he kind of looked over at me. And, of course, now with the finger of woods that I'm in, I'm on the field side. He's in another field. He's got me profiled, and I'm just up on my knees, you know. And he stops, and he stretches his neck out. And I thought, that's his full, you know, tip to tail. This is why I shoot a 575, and I let her eat. And he jumped up, and, like, immediately his head hit the dirt, kind of, you know, like a lead balloon. And I was like, he's dead. And then he started flopping and kind of did that flailing that was sort of like, I'm going to die, but I'm not dead yet. And I was like, I've got 3 bullets in my gun, so I let another one run. And at that point, I tore out running. Stood up, tore out running, slipped off of something. My binoculars busted me right in the lip. Felt like a middle school kid, braces, you know, big old swollen lip. I come out in the field, and he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, take my hat off, throw it down on the ground. Like, what the heck? I'm like, I know. And first thing I said to Mike, I was like, I know he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, I killed that turkey, but he is nowhere to be found. And we look and shoot, we looked for 30 to 40 minutes. We looked 200 yards every direction. And Mike was like, which direction do you think he went on the field? I said, I have no idea. I mean, I shot twice. I thought he was dead. And then I ran to get to the edge of the field because I expected that he might be like doing that, you know, Michael Phelps, you know,
butterfly stroke,
trying to get out of the field, and I might have to shoot him a 3rd time. But I mean, I knew that he was hit and mortally wounded, and he disappeared. And we hunkered down and kind of looked, and man, we looked for 30 or 40 minutes, and Mike was like, we're gonna find blood. And to be honest, I was like, I don't think we're gonna find blood. And by gosh, we found blood. Mike found where he hit the ground and his head had, you know, left a big bloody print. And so Mike was like, you killed that turkey. He's like, he wouldn't be bleeding from his body, through all those feathers here.
And it was only 2 little small feathers. I mean, if it had hit him low, it'd have been more than 2 big,
absolutely.
Small feathers. Those feathers were
They were
right
high.
from where his
You're right.
right where his neck hits.
They were high
wattles.
feathers.
Yeah.
So we kept looking, and being close to the house, I said to Mike, I was like, what if I just go get Brooke, And I mean, nothing stinks like a turkey does. And I mean, it's fresh. And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And so after looking for 30 or 40 minutes, I jumped in the truck, ran up to the house, grabbed the dog, came back. And when I came back, Mike hollered and said, I think I found his tracks. And there was a little drainage down beside where we'd been hunting. And he roosts where that drainage tees into another drainage. And I mean, like I said, I've been watching this for a month and a half, Really, I've been watching this for 4.5 years. This poor joker is not the first one that's worked the same loop. But we worked up and down and up and down. And Mike had found where it looked like he came out of the field and it was just the most beautiful. It looked like Destin, the beach of sand that ran down through there. It was kind of had a little crown on it. And he found his tracks. And they were very fresh, obviously. And they were very obviously a big fat gobbler track. And they were, if I'm lying, I'm dying, they were 48 to 60 inches apart. It looked like he looked like an ostrich going down through there. And Mike was like, this is him running away.
Yes, he's running.
Of course, when you're standing there and you've made a bad, you don't have a dead turkey after shooting twice.
Yeah.
At a turkey that you've watched for 2 months, you're like, okay, right. Yeah, this is the turkey ostriching down through this, down through this drainage. And then Mike goes, yep, this is where his tracks end. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm still not convinced that this is the turkey's tracks. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm looking, I'm going, it's got to be his tracks because they really are. They're far apart, and it's like he's
lunging.
There's no reason for a regular turkey hadn't been shot just to jump in the ditch and run down the ditch and jump out.
And we had worked that ditch because we had worked that ditch for 300 yards. And there were no tracks crossing that ditch in any place. So, I mean, to Mike's credit, it did have to be that turkey. Long story short, we look. I go get the dog. The dog looks. We go up and down all the drainages. And then all of a sudden I hear a Spence. And it was with an intensity that, cannot be matched. And when I walked out of the field, he was pointing like this. And Mike wasn't. And I was like, well, my immediate thought was, somebody's coming to find out while we're hunting here, or while we're, I was like, I didn't know. And I'd given up hope of the turkey, honestly. He was like, I found him. Like, nah. And I said it about 2 more times. He's like, I'm serious. I found him. He's right here. I'm like, okay. Got 1 bullet left, We walk up. By gosh, we've walked past this gobbler 24 times. He's burrowed up underneath a root ball in this drainage ditch. Right where the tracks ended. It was like he walked to there and stopped. I was like, man, Squanto over here's done tracked him down into a root ball.
And Brooke was probably no more than 10 feet away from him.
How she didn't, she was hunting hard, and how she didn't bump into the bird. So there was like, water's coming downhill, and there's a big root that comes across, and there was a bunch of trash, and he was like on the back side of that trash. Well, she had gotten to that trash and jumped into the water on the back side of it and struggled to get out to the point that I got down in there with her and picked her up right there because she's 10, and can't get around. The gobbler was 4 feet from us the whole time that we were doing this. So you can imagine my dismay when Mike's like, he's right here. And I'm like, yeah, right. Sure enough, he was. Well,
we were looking, and Spence had taken Brooke on down after we found the tracks. When the tracks ended, I was like, well, the gobbler's either got to be in this trash because they love. I've had this happen a couple times with me over the years. They'll just burrow under, just like a mallard will, right?
Yeah.
They'll just burrow
Any
under.
kind of a top or a...
I know they have a red and blue head and all these iridescents, but they can hide.
Man, they can hide.
Well, then I was thinking he's either gone into there or he's jumped out of the ditch because he looked like he was going pretty hard the way he was running. and gone out. So I went that way up and looked all in the leaves to see if I can find any blood. And I said, well, I went back. You know, I'm an engineer, so I've now eliminated all these other ones. So I'm like, all right, it's got to be. So I got my binoculars, and I'm like 10 feet away looking all through the trash for anything. And then I look back, but I was now on we had always, when we were looking in that ditch, we were
going downhill.
Downhill. Well, now I'm in it looking back up, and I'm just looking all this, and then he's sitting on he looks like a hen on a nest.
Yeah.
He's not like wallowing his head like he's about to die, but he's just looking like, I'm right here, don't move.
Yeah.
And that's when I got Spence. Spence thought, if Spence goes, you kidding me? I was like, would I kid about this?
Yeah.
We
were about to do not the time for jokes.
You already feel bad. You feel bad enough. But I mean, I'm kind of like, I know we all like this, right? We love the animal as much as you can love hunting the animal, love the animal, and we respect the animal. So it's like, we all have done this. I've done this. I've missed turkeys. I've wounded turkeys, and I haven't tried to do any of that, right? I want to, But when it happens, it makes you feel bad. I knew how Spence felt, and I was like, we just got to do our best, best we can get the dog, do everything we can do. And fortunately, this time, we found him. You know, it was pretty celebratory after that.
Yeah. So
he's hanging here at Rolling Thunder.
Yeah. I did not think an hour and a half ago that we were going to have a dead one hanging on the porch. So
that was the other thing too. At the end, Drake, he said he's sitting there and he takes his hat back off, and now the turkey's sitting beside him. We've pulled him out of the ditch after he's wallowed in the water for 15 minutes. And he was like, man, I mean, I know I took the shot. I said, Spence, stop. He's right there.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Man, I had beat
He's as old as he's going to be.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. That reminds me of stuff my dad used to say, like, man, I don't think I put the best shot I could. It's like, well, it's right there.
Y'all all understand. I mean, after letting him walk off at 42 yards, I was 9 kinds of beating myself up, and and just, I don't know, I had judged the distance the best I could in every possible way and felt like I had a clear shot. But then when you walk out there, it's like he's supposed to be laying there dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is a sick feeling.
It's horrible.
God, it sucks.
Especially after you hit it. Like, if you clean miss them, it's fine. You watch them. Well, it's not fine, but it's better when you watch them run off like that. But if you shoot and you watch it hit him and you get out there and he's not there, I mean, there's no worse feeling in the world.
It's terrible.
I mean,
it's terrible.
It's like shooting a deer in no man's land. You know?
When they jump and that head is the first thing that hits the ground, that head weighs less than everything else in their body.
Yeah.
In my mind, I just kept telling Mike, I was like, I know that turkey's dead. I know he's dead, or gonna be very soon. So, anyways, it's been a roller coaster of days.
That's right.
I know you call him a neighborhood turkey, but I don't think he got up every day and just walked and exercised because he's a big fat turkey.
He is.
He is heavy.
And he did not like being within visual distance of the paved road. I mean, for as close as he lived to it, he stayed out of eyesight. It's amazing. I wonder how many times I've driven past him.
He's probably seen some of his brothers being killed.
Yeah.
He may have, but there's not a. I don't know how much pressure they get right there. I think they just get a lot of traffic, right there. But I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to worry about him anymore. Because after Easter morning and those big old tears trip, he's gonna be mad at me now that I killed him. But
does he know you shot him yet?
He doesn't yet. Ooh. No.
You ought to tell him, just come over here to the shop, son. I got something to show you.
Oh, that's a different one.
I wish I could say this is the first time this has happened.
Oh, man.
It's not.
He'll make up for it.
You got to let him have a few chances, then you got to show him Dad still got a few tricks.
There's somebody on there. I don't feel sorry for Tripp.
Yeah.
He's killed how many turkeys over how many states already?
He's killed more this year than I have.
We were walking to this turkey the very first time, and I was telling Mike about it, and I was telling him about tears and everything, and he was like, oh, man, I hate that. And I was like, honestly, I don't. I mean, he's gotten enough cupcakes. He needs a couple of toughies, But I will say this, and then it's y'all's turn to tell a story. Saturday morning, we sat down on those turkeys, and they finally gobbled. And he reached in the back of my vest, and I've got a little pair of these clippers, and he started cutting stuff, sticking it in the ground around him. And he's never tried to hide. And I said, what are you doing? He said, we need to build blind.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, hurry up. You know, I mean, he's gobbled 3 times. You know, he's coming. And he looked at me and just stone cold. He was like, I don't really want it to happen again like it did last weekend. I'm planning on hiding.
Experience.
That's
good.
I
was like,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's experience.
Boy.
Yes, sir. Let me know when you want me to yelp again. I was like,
that's a good father-son moment
It
there.
was.
That's good.
Quite frankly, Dad, I don't want to get busted, okay?
Yeah, I was like,
Go on in. You build a blind.
let me help. I mean,
That's awesome.
Anyways, well, tell us about yours, Drake.
Oh, well, my wife, Lauren, she was supposed to be on the gun. Corbett.
Start on Saturday.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Calm down.
Sorry.
So Saturday or Friday, I go and Friday morning I go and walk it, and I had some jakes walk up on me, and I thought I seen a gobbler out in the field, so I was like, seen enough. Oh, he's out. We'll make a move in the morning. Get there real early the next day. Know where we want to go. Get set up. We had to walk right under. It sounded like 2 or 3 gobblers, and they were just lighting the world on fire that morning. They were answering like what you said. Everything. You'd fart, you'd hear them. But well, they stayed on that south end of the property, and we had a bird gobble behind us. So I was like, well, we're in between a little mess of birds, so let's just stay put and wait it out. And about 9 o'clock, I'm sitting there starting to get discouraged. Still hearing them gobblers on the south end of the field, just having at it. You know, they're just not coming anywhere. And next thing you know, I'm tell Lauren, say, hey, why don't you get on this tree over here? You can see a little bit more, and yada yada yada. And she gets moved over there. Not even 5 minutes later, I start calling, purr, cluck, yelp. One gobbled out in the field, back behind us, like, get ready. Here he comes, you know.
Yeah.
I waited a little bit. He gobbles on his own again. He's getting closer, and it just sounds like he's just kind of staying in one little spot. So I spark him up and cut at him and yelp, and he cuts me off, and I cut at him again, and he answers me again. So I was like, all right, here he comes. And he comes all the way into 60 yards, blowed up, spitting and drumming. Beautiful bird. I mean, this thing looked like he was 50 pounds. It was huge. Even whenever he was walking and not in strut or anything, man, this bird was ginormous. His fan looked like it was 4 feet tall. You know, it was a real pretty bird. I looked at Lauren and said, looks like we may be having to mount another turkey. And anyways,
taxidermy bill gonna be steep.
Yeah. Anyways, she's over there shaking like a leaf. And I can hear her in her voice, you know, her breathing. She's real shaking. And I was loving it. I was shaking my tail off too, you know. And
yeah,
he's hung up at 60 yards, gobbling and doing his thing. And then next thing you know, he drops down on the backside of this little knoll, and how this field lays, it kind of rolls and everything. Got a lot of fingers and points, and he goes down one of these little draws and comes up on the next side, and he's 100 yards, 150 yards from us at this point, and doing the same thing, gobbling, answering me, doing everything, and just not coming to us. So he walks off, and still gobbling. You can hear him gobbling. 30 minutes after, you know, and we finally get up. We get over there, that tree line where he was at, where he went to, and hear him down that bottom, and called nothing. We just started easing our way back to the truck. And didn't spark anything up. Well, get back to the truck. We called Corbett, and he's like, "Yeah, he'll be there tomorrow." I was like, "Lauren, did you hear that?" He's like, after we hung up the phone, he's like, "We get to go tomorrow." You know, you're not excited. And she was all like, "Yeah, yahoo, yada yada yada." And I, all day that day and night, I was like, I'm gonna kill your turkey in the morning, just giving her a hard time, you know. And next thing you know, wake up, 4 o'clock comes, I get up, get in the shower, tell her to wake up. She don't get up. I'm in there getting dressed, lacing up my last knot on my shoes, and she walks out, and I says, "It's too late now. You might as well go on back to bed."
Oh, that's cold.
It is, but to be honest, man, how that property lays out, you got to get there early. You got to, or you're either
30 minutes early or you're
late.
You might as well be 10 hours late. I mean, there's no in between on that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, and I've seen
all
how
the
that
trees
property
are in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to go across a big open field to get to it.
It's all a big open field.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With just a bunch of little fingers and tree lines and this, that, and the other. And anyhow, I get there. I was like, well, judging by the wind and how the birds acted yesterday, I'm just going to stay on the south end of the field. And then if I have to, I'll work my way to the back.
Yeah.
So I get set up, looking at the watch, like, oh, ain't nothing gobbling. Everything's flying over like it was the day before. Nothing's gobbling. I'm like, geez Louise. About 7 o'clock, one finally gobbled, but it was on the north end of the field. And he gobbled again. I'm like, I'm looking at my maps, and he's exactly where he was yesterday. Like, if I would have been where we were the day before, I probably have a dead turkey right now.
Are they on the ground at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I sit there, I probably listened to him for about 30, 45 minutes. And I said, screw this, I've had enough. I got to get in this bubble. I got to make a move. I'm by myself. I can be mobile. So I go out there, get my decoy, and I hug this tree line, and I see this finger that I can get to, and I go to this finger, and I crawl out about 40 yards, and I look up over this little knoll, and I could see him exactly where he was yesterday, just gobbling and gobbling. And then at that point, I think he saw like my back or something dark eating its way through there, and I kind of popped up. I was like, oh, I think he sees me. Crap. Then he gobbled again. I'm like, sink right back down. I was like, nope. Crawl up to this little high point, put my decoy out, crawl back. I mean, and this is just after almost like an inch of rain, you know, and I'm soaking wet, gosh. And then it's 50 degrees and wind's blowing. I'm cold and muddy and nasty. And how I'm having to hide is right on the edge of this little thicket, basically. These little trees ain't but 3 or 4 inches wide in diameter, you know. And the sun's starting to come up. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. There's no freaking way he's going to see me. And sure enough, he comes in, and I'm calling. He's doing his thing. I'm like, heck yeah, he's coming. Next thing you know, he pops up. I was like, oh, there he is. Here he comes. He's strutting, drumming, doing his thing. About 60 yards again. I'm like, everybody tells me TSS works pretty good at 60 yards, but I don't know. I've never shot that far. I don't know. And I was like, there's no way I can shoot at him anyways, because I shoot left-handed, and he was on my left side, and I couldn't swing, so all the thick stuff that I was kind of tucked in behind. And he's doing his thing, and next thing you know, he just kind of leans up, and I'm like, what's he doing? And he doesn't make a noise, just turns around and just runs, takes off. I'm like, did he just see me? What the heck? I just pan over to my right, and there's 5 Super Jakes storming into my decoy. I'm like, oh, no. And they jump on her and beat her up, abuse her, almost have to call the cops.
I call those velociraptors.
Yeah, man.
Just call the cops.
They got on top of her, jumped her. She fell over. They freaked out. They went away. They came back, freaked out again. They did that about 4 or 5 times. And finally, they went off in the direction that gobbler ran towards, and that was the same spot that I saw that gobbler run to the day before. So in my mind, I was thinking, looked at my watch, it was still pretty early. It was like, well, that gobbler didn't come out until about 9 o'clock, so maybe I can get a bird that'll want to come over later in the morning. So sitting there, they get off. I walk out I get up, glass field, nothing's out there except for them jakes where I want to go. I'm like, of course, they're going to be over there. And I go out to my decoy, and I just book it across the field as low and as fast as possible. Back's burning, hamstrings on fire, you know, and I finally get there, and I get in the shade, and I stand up like, oh my God, that was horrible. It's worse than football, you know. And glass field, and they're still over there, so I dip down this low spot in the field that goes around the east side of that whole property, and it's in the shade, it's low, perfect way to get around if you need to, even with it being so wide open, you know. And I get all the way down there, I get about 40 yards from where I would like to put my decoy and get set up, and them jakes are kind of in the back there, so I was like, screw these dang jakes. I just get up, walk out there, and I wave at them. They all putt and kind of they're like sitting right there on the edge.
Move.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. They're just sitting right there on the edge.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, get out of here.
You run off the last one. You ain't fixing to do it again.
So they're sitting there. I put my decoy out, and I can still see them on the edge of the tree line. They're putting, I don't know what they're doing. So I was like, I don't even care. At this point, I'm so mad. So I go find me a good tree, sit down. I sit up against this tree. I was like, oh, boy, this is perfect for a left-handed shooter. I'm like, golly, this is Cadillac Jack. I can sit here all day long. And I think I was sending my buddies texts, and I sent Corbett a text, and I was telling him kind of what happened. It was like, man, I was really fishing. Just like, man, I really hope he lets me come out here on Monday morning before work. I know I could probably kill him. I could get right here. I know I could kill him, you know. And as soon as I sent that message or something other, and I'm looking at my phone, just kind of look at the weather, and next thing I hear a gobble out in the middle of the field. I'm like, drop my phone, look up, and my face mask is down a little bit. You know, I'm like, oh crap! Like, I had my gun still up, and sure enough, here he comes about 80 yards. I can see him, and he gobbled again on his own. It's like, well, I ain't going to call or anything. He sees my decoy, he's walking straight toward me. So no face mask down. I just kind of hunkered down behind my gun and get situated, and he just comes on in, does his thing, and gobble on his own, and like probably gobbled 20, 30 times in the 2 or 3 minute time span, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no freaking way. It's all in at 20 yards. I'm like, oh, you kidding me? You know, and he pecks my decoy, and he's playing with it, and next thing you know, he kind of steps away from the side a little bit, and I anchored down and let one have it, and
she wrote.
Awesome. There she is. I run out there hooping and hollering, and I ran out there, and I look up. There's 2 more gobblers behind him that was down that little knoll that same gobbler the day before took to avoid us. I was like, look at there. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, if I wouldn't have known to do what I did whenever I did it, if I would have been 5 minutes later, I wouldn't have killed that turkey.
Yeah.
You know, of being out there on my own and figuring things out like that. God, well, that's so cool.
Yeah. There's a something that happens when you start putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
And I think that's been so much fun to like.
Yeah.
I mean, you've killed 2 in 10 days.
I feel good, man.
It's freaking awesome. Like it's coming
on his
together.
own. No babysitter.
That's right.
No,
on his own.
Yeah.
And it's really
seeing the light bulbs
is
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to me too.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And the ebbs and flows you were saying earlier about, again, becoming a turkey hunter, like they're talking about. I was like, you're sitting there going, all right, will Corbett please let me go Monday? Because you've already this is over.
Yep.
I can't go back and tell Lauren about how great this hunt and I killed a turkey.
Yep.
I can do all that, and all of a sudden it changes like that.
Yep.
I mean, like that.
Yeah, within 10 minutes.
And then you become like, I had this all the time.
Yeah.
I was going to kill that turkey.
Why was I doubting myself?
I sat there and I hung him up, and I was admiring him. And he's got some cool, like, little white accents on the middle of his fan. Real pretty bird. I plucked almost every feather off that thing. Got it in the freezer right now.
It's cool as heck. It's when you sit back and admire. I appreciate the fact that you hung him up and admired him. I saw that on your Instagram story.
Yeah, I sat there for probably an hour.
And when you,
I was like, I gotta go.
But when you sit there and think about all the things they've seen, heard, done. I mean, you just the next time you get in the woods early and you wait on it to get daylight and wait on gobble time. Just think about all the sounds you hear: the cars, the sirens, the
planes,
horns, the planes, they live around all that stuff, and they weren't designed to live around all that stuff, and they just kind of adapt and go, and then, I mean, and everything in the world wants to eat that sucker.
Yep.
I mean,
because they taste so damn good.
He's vulnerable as he can be.
They stink.
I mean, yeah, it's not like they're invisible, and it's pretty incredible.
But yeah, I think at the end of it, I told Corbett, I was like, man, I feel real grateful for this. I got to tell you, it's like, if you need any help out here doing any work, I used to farm, so I ain't no stranger.
It's killing him. Today's the first good dry day that he's been able to spray, and I texted him on the way here, and I was like, come on across the street.
Yep.
Drink a beer. He was like, man, it's 9:45, and I was like, you got to celebrate, dog.
Do when you have a turkey day.
Yeah, that's right. He was like, dadgummit, the one day I got to work, y'all. Y'all picked to have
Because
a
he was
day.
in here hanging out about an hour yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh. Well, tell us about Mary Kate's.
Well, you talk about emotions changing on a dime. I mean, like that.
Yeah.
So, Saturday morning.
Y'all are in public, right?
No, hers was on private. I went to public. I went to Cheatham Okay. I'm going to name drop because apparently everybody knows about this place. I texted y'all at 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to the first gate at Cheatham before 5 a.m.
I'll tell you how early it was. I was still laying in bed. Like it was an hour before my alarm was set. I just had woken up early.
Yeah.
And I was like, geez.
And I knew I was going to have to get there early. But I thought I was going to be able to beat a number of people. I rolled through the gate at 4:50, and I drove probably 15 minutes back. 18 trucks.
Jeez.
Wow.
Before 5 a.m., there was 18 trucks. Like 2 to 5 trucks at a gate, all this kind of stuff. And where I was gonna go listen, I parked. I was the only truck there. I go walking a mile in, and there's somebody standing on the knob that I was going to listen on. And that's when I texted the group me, and I was like, this must be how Midwesterners feel on opening day of rifle season. People everywhere. And didn't hear a guy. It was super humid Saturday morning. I don't know if that's how it was down here, but in Nashville, it was like 99% humidity.
Oh, gosh.
And they didn't gobble. And I told Mary Kate, I was like, hey, her nephew had a baseball game that morning. And I said, if nothing happens, I'll meet you at the game. And so I start walking out of there. And as I'm walking out, I'm just calling Hail Mary, hopefully something gobbles. And one gobbled a long ways from where I was, and far enough that I didn't know where he was. I couldn't get him to gobble again, and I was probably 300 yards from the truck. And as I get to the truck, there's another one parked right next to me. And there's a dad and his son walking down the road towards me. And he goes, hey, did you hear that turkey gobble? I was like, well, yeah. He said, yeah, there was a hen down here yelping, and he gobbled. Are you going to go after him? I was like, nah, brother, he's all yours. Have at it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And then when I get to the truck, a dude in an e-bike rolls by and asked me if I did any good. And I was like, this is unreal. 27 trucks on the way out. 13 of them were from out of state.
Wow.
I mean, Arkansas, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan. Everywhere. And I'm like, I'm never coming back here ever again. So we go to her nephew's baseball game, and from the time that I left the woods until the end of Carter's baseball game, I got 6 pictures of dead turkeys from 8 o'clock to about 9:30. And I was like, and of course I'm like, I start feeling sorry for myself, like, I'm never going to kill one this year, whatever. And so we're driving back to Mary Kate's house, and she's texting me, and she's like, you need to go hunting this afternoon. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. Like, I'm not going back out to where I went this morning, and, I just don't know where I'd go. About that time, my buddy Adam Sanders calls me, and Mary Kate and I were supposed to go with him on Sunday, and he calls me and was like, hey, dude, I just checked the weather for tomorrow. It's not looking great. I don't think it'd probably be a good day to go hunting, but I'm out here cleaning 2 turkeys we shot this morning, and there's one gobbling on top of the ridge. He's probably gobbled 10 times in the last 5 minutes. I was like, let me call her real quick.
And Mary Kate.
Yeah. I was like,
you need to wake up.
I'll be back with you in just a second. And I call her, and she was like, yeah, let's go. And she just happened to have her hunting stuff in her car, and we drop her car off at her mom's house, and we drive out there. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with the topography in Middle Tennessee, but it
ain't flat.
No. It's big, steep ridges, tall ridges. And we get out there, and he's standing in his driveway, and he's like, yeah, he was up on points behind his house, and goes, they were up on top of that ridge about 45 minutes ago. And he looked straight up at it, and I was like, here we go. So we go up to the top of the ridge and yelp, nothing, and then we go across the saddle, 2 or 3 saddles, and we're just yelping about every 100 yards and didn't hear anything. And it's getting hot. We're sweating, hadn't heard any. And Adam was saying, as much as this turkey was gobbling, all we got to do is get to where he's comfortable to come back and get to us. And so we're just going, and it's probably about 11:30, maybe 11:45 at this point. And he was like, well, property line's just right there on this side. We could go down in the valley by the pond and then up the other side. He said, I warn you, the other side is taller than this ridge, and it's steeper too.
Jeez.
And I looked at Mary Kate, I was like, I'm going to leave that one up to you. Like, I don't mind doing it, but if you want to do it, we can do it. She's like, well, there are turkeys over there? And Adam says, I guarantee you that we will at least hear one over there. And I'm thinking, like, well, now we definitely ain't going to hear one over there. She's like, all right, let's do it. So we go walk over there, and we get to the top on a saddle, and so the ridge tops on either side of us are, 40, 50 feet taller than where we're at. And so I catch my breath, and I pull out a pot call, and I yelp one time, and I hear putting. And I look to the top of the ridge to the right of us, and there's just an absolute hammer, probably 50 yards away from us, just putting, and he starts walking down the ridge on the neighbor's property. Wasn't really spooked, but was just kind of like he was. I think he was laid down in a fall down,
flipped off,
and I think that he just like stood up and was like, nah, and just walked down the ridge by himself. I mean, this turkey weighed every bit of 35 pounds. He was huge.
They're always that big.
2.5-inch spurs. His beard was dragging when he was standing up straight, like just an absolute giant. And so we're kind of like, I was like, well, Adam, you weren't technically wrong. There was a turkey over here. And we were just kind of like, well, maybe we can go around the other side to the next saddle and maybe call him around the ridge, let him calm down for a minute, whatever. And so we're like, okay, well, let's give that a shot. It's noon at this point, and we have a wedding to go to, and we're 45 minutes from her house, and then we're another 45 minutes to the wedding venue. So we kind of got to get a move on. And so I was like, all right, well, let's go try this and see what happens. If we don't hear him, if he don't come in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then we got to go. And so we go to the next saddle over, and we're looking, and he's like, well, there's a cow pasture down at the end of this ridge, and he's like, they love hanging out down there. He's like, let's see if we can drop down and get on this bench and then yelp and see if there's one down there. And so we go walking down there, and there's the last tornado that came through Nashville, it had just cleaned out this saddle. It's all fall downs, big, giant oak trees, and there's a ditch, pretty much a ravine that runs from the cow pasture up to that saddle, and it's just loaded with fall downs. And as we're walking down to this bench, one gobbles where we think was on the other end of the cow pasture. Just on his own. He's probably 250, 300 yards. And I was like, okay, well, maybe we can get this one to play. And we get down on this bench, and I was like, I kind of feel like we need to be, like, super ready for this. And so I'm like, okay, Mary Kate, you stand right here. I'm going to stand right here. Adam, get on the tree back there in case one gobbles close, especially this one that we just boogered. And I put my mouth call in, and I cut 2 times. And it was like this hen was looking at me, waiting for me to finish. As soon as I finished that last note, pop, 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 and 2 of them gobbled in the cow pasture 200 yards away. And I'm pretty sure my ass hit the dirt before they finished gobbling. And I was like, sit down. Like, this is, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen quick. And so this hen gets really fired up. And as I'm just kind of going back with her, and these turkeys are losing their minds. And they're coming closer. And we can tell that they're at the base of the ridge, and they're kind of starting to work their way up, probably 100, 150 yards away maybe. And poor Mary Kate, she was sweating so bad. She didn't have her gloves on. Her face mask was off, and her hat was off. And so she was just kind of sitting there.
Southern belles don't sweat. They glisten.
Well, she was glistening. She was shining bright. So she's not rushing it and being like all jerky, but she's trying to be smooth and put her gloves on, put her face mask on. It gets caught up in her ponytail. Her hat was falling off to the side, and I'm just holding the gun. I was like, just when you're ready, you just let me know. I'll hand you the gun. Just trying not to, rush her. And in my head, I'm like, girl, you better
hurry
move
up.
on.
Like
they fixing to be here. And so she gets set. She gets her gloves on, her face mask on, and I give her the gun. And they're probably 30 yards away, right where this bench drops off down to the base of the ridge. There's a tree where the tornado had broke it off, probably 10 foot off the ground. And I was like, just get comfortable and get the gun on your knee and just have the gun pointed at that tree. Now, like, you don't have to get your head on the gun yet. Just kind of get to where you can just ease your head down and shoot the tree if you needed to. And while she was getting ready, they weren't gobbling. And I just start scratching in the leaves, yelping real soft, clucking, and they gobbled at probably 60 yards. And I was like, get ready. I was like, they're coming. They're definitely coming. And the hen was still in the cow pasture, and she's still yelping at me, but they're not responding to her. But every time I yelped or clucked or scratched in the leaves, they gobbled at me. I was like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen right now. And about 45 seconds later, yelp again, scratching leaves, and they gobbled right on the other side of that drop. And I was like, get your head on the gun right now. And 5 seconds after I said that, she gets settled in. A head pops up right where that tree's broke off. I was like, lucky guess. And I was like, you see him? She goes, yeah, I see him. And he gets up on the bench with us, and then the second one gets up on top of the bench with us, and they're looking for us. And I was like, whenever you get a shot, get ready.
How close are they?
25 yards probably.
Her heart's got to be beating. I know yours was.
Yeah, but she was rock solid, and the bird that she ended up shooting was moving to the right, and she couldn't. I mean, there was nothing in between us pretty much. And he gets behind a tree, and she just eases the gun over real slow, and I was like, damn,
like she's done it forever.
I was like, that was good. And he gets on the other side of the tree, and she said, okay, I got him. And I cut a couple of times, and he picked his head straight up, and she just skillet raped him. Absolutely smoked him. And so the second bird picks up and jumps on top of the tree that was broke over. And I was like, good shot. And I take the gun, and I go walking over trying to get a shot on this bird. I was telling Drake about it this morning. He was kind of sitting there like looking around, wondering what was happening. And when I shoulder the gun, and as I'm squeezing the trigger, he like ducks his head and looks to the left, and I see that wad go right past him. And when I shoot, he jumps down and goes to the left, and a turkey flies across that ravine to the other ridge. And I was like, did she miss? There's no way she missed. And I looked down, and the turkey that she'd shot was laying there. And I was like, okay, well, there was a third one. And I turn around, or I go run down there, and I could have shot, but at this point I didn't care.
See, this is good conservation. While the rest of the world is trapping raccoons and everything, if you just go in there and spook the hell out of them and shoot at them and don't hit them, I mean, that turkey can gobble into a hen call again the rest of his life.
Well, this was the third turkey that had been shot there that day, and Adam was like, we ain't hunting out here no more. Not till next year. And so they'll be left alone all year long.
I'm kidding.
But no, I completely agree. Especially after watching his brother get shot and then he gets shot at.
What a cool moment, though, man. I'm so jealous. That's one of the few things I just, one of these days I'm going to talk Miss Lindy into going turkey hunt with me.
And I walk over to her turkey and pick it up, and I do the touchdown, and she's like, is that one mine? And I'm like, well, hell yeah, it's yours. And she never touched the ground and ran all the way over to me.
That's awesome.
Oh, man, it was so cool. And she was just, she was shaking so bad, and she just looked at me and she goes, I get it now. And I was like, yep.
It's amazing what those little critters can do to you.
Man.
I mean, tie you up in knots and.
Heck, even Lauren was saying, it's like, I think I understand. And then when she got close at her, she's like, I understand kind of. Yeah.
It's just
what
different.
You mean now.
It's just different, man.
It is.
Yeah. Mike said it. We were walking in, and it was just beautiful. It was about, 7:50, just before 8 o'clock, and he was like, "Man, this is the greatest time of the year." He said, he's like, but I like duck hunting too. I'm so glad we don't have to choose. I said, me too.
Yeah. That's what Mary Kay said. She's like, I heard you talk about it so much, I thought I understood it, but now that I got to experience it, she's like, that's the coolest thing I've ever been a part of.
It is so pleasant, and all the rest of hunting is just like harsh weather, harsh conditions, and it's just like, man, turkey hunting is just so peaceful. I mean, and just
beautiful too.
Yeah, just
everything's starting to bud.
You're coming out of that winter, that dead period, and all of a sudden it's you
new life everywhere.
Everything wakes
man.
up, man.
So, anyways, what a day. We have to work this afternoon.
Yeah,
I mean,
we got to get some acrylic orders.
I guess I've got to go cut tile for one of the tables on the pool. If I don't do it today, I will not be able to turkey.
I guess by the rules, I have to work until like 9:30 tonight, right? Is that about where?
No, you're the boss.
You make the rules.
Yeah.
I worked till about 7:30 last night because I hunted yesterday morning.
Oh, good day and good episode. Thank y'all for letting us tell our story first. That's about the fourth time I've told it. But
how many? I mean, there's going to be a lot more stories.
There'll be at least one more time because my dad's coming over this evening. We're going to hunt in the morning, so I'll have to tell him tonight. But, we did just do it. I did a job interview about an hour and a half ago. Bless her heart. Sweet girl came to interview for the customer service position. She's a wonderful young lady. I've known her husband for years, and we were all standing on the porch, dead gobbler hanging at the front door.
She had to walk
Is Spence here? We're drinking beer, and I walked in, and I was like holding the beer, and I was like, I'll leave this out here, And I sat down, I was like, well, I bet this is the first time you've ever been interviewed by somebody that was sitting on the front porch drinking a beer when you pulled up. She was like, I think this is pretty cool. Like, this is very cool.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's just not everybody's flavor. By gosh, we're living our dream.
That's right.
Spence said we found that turkey. I looked at Spence after we got him out of the ditch and kind of shook him in the turkey and Spence. Got him going. I said, I'll tell you what's going to be good. He said, what's that? It's that Miller Lite at Rolling Thunder. It's going to be really good after finding that turkey.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. We might, just as a little teaser, if we can get Spike Buck to give us more than 5 words, that might be like the
even if he only gives us 5 words,
that's
we'll put
it
in here.
Yeah. What do they call that? Like a curtain call or after
encore?
the encore. There you go.
We'll do an encore.
We can get Spike Buck to. He killed one Saturday morning, and
Who was Spike Buck?
Logan Gilbert. You know Bryce Gilbert, and his mama teaches at Warren.
Yeah, I know Bryce.
Community up there, and Bryce is a fireman, sprays yards, and
Yep.
his son Logan is in Katie's class, and we started. Honestly, I don't really know where Spike Buck came from. He told Katie he wanted a job.
I think we were calling him Young. I think I called him Young Buck one day or something other, and then Aaron's like, when Spike Buck, and then it just took off.
It did kind of take off, and then for the longest time when he doesn't hardly talk. I hadn't heard him say 55 words in the year that he's worked here. And then one day he showed up and somebody was like,
well, I think it's when y'all came back from the show in North Carolina and you said something, but you kept saying Logan. I'm like, who in the hell is Logan? Spike. I was like, oh, I didn't know his name was Spike.
I asked him if he wanted to go to a trade show, and he was like, yes, sir. And I was like, really? Yes, sir. And I said, can you miss 2 days of school? Yes, sir. And I was like, are you sure? Yes, sir. It's like, do I need to talk to your dad? No, sir. So we get there. We drive down there on a Thursday, I guess, and set up Thursday night. We worked Friday. Saturday morning, we're sitting there eating breakfast, and I was like, Spike, did you tell your mom and dad you're missing 2 days of school? 3 days. And he was like, 2 days. I was like, well, this show doesn't close till about 7 o'clock Sunday night. He was like, okay. I started thinking about it, and I was like, son, we're going to drive all night. So we drove all night, and I dropped him off at State Academy Monday morning. I told him the next one we went to, I was like, Spike, I'm sorry, but you're not welcome to go on this one. I'm not driving an all-nighter. Aaron pulled most of those miles, but we were zombies the next day. So, but he got him one, and we're going to make him tell the story.
Yeah.
So,
no matter how few words.
Don't hold your breath on all the all the gory details. We're going to have to drag them out of him. But
it's not exactly a public speaker or a speaker at all.
You can't be a public speaker if you don't speak at all. Right?
That's correct.
We'll have to tell him they can't hear your head nod on the podcast.
Oh, he's a good one though.
Well, welcome back to
Back
to the encore session.
Woo! Spike Buck made it through school. Did you get in trouble today?
No, not at all.
Any detention, in-school suspension, spankings, anything? What are they?
Easy day.
Easy day. On a Tuesday.
That's what we like.
Well, world meets Spike Buck.
Hey.
There he is, the man of many words.
Yep, that's him.
Tell us your name.
Logan Gilbert.
Okay. Where are you from?
Somerville, Tennessee.
Okay. Mom and Dad?
Bryce and Robin Gilbert.
Bryce and Robin Gilbert.
Social security number.
All right. And your dad's a fireman, right?
Yes, sir.
Your mom's a school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She taught Trip, I think.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. How'd you get your job up here?
I don't really know.
You told somebody you wanted to work up here, and I just went, okay.
I think Wendy posted on Facebook that y'all are hiring, and my mom said something.
No way. I think your mom told Lindy that you wanted to work up here, actually.
It was something like that.
Because I made the very first Rolling Thunder job post this past week, and I probably won't ever make another one because I've got 100 resumes to go through.
Did you see we got an email? Somebody emailed us one to Rolling Thunder.
Somebody called earlier, and Mariana was like, I don't know what he's doing about it. Just come on in. He'd be glad to talk to you. I'm like, Mariana, sweetheart, I love you, but don't do that again.
Please.
We can just barely handle the gun transfers right now, much less job interviews and walk in. So you went turkey hunting this weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
How'd it go?
Pretty good.
Yep.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
right,
Well,
story's
thanks for
over.
tuning in.
Yep.
Okay, give us some details. Who'd you hunt with? Where'd you hunt?
I went with my dad in our hunting land in Chester County,
Okay.
and we got on Friday and roosted them.
Oh,
There you
look
go.
at you.
Promo.
Tucking them into bed.
And then so we went back Saturday morning. We woke up at like 5.
Yeah.
Got there like 5:30. And then we went and sat on the ground, wait for them to start
Yeah.
calling and stuff.
Did y'all get close?
We probably 150 yards from them.
Okay.
And then they
Looked
started,
like they were in the woods.
my dad was gobbling, or not gobbling, but calling them.
Yeah.
And they started gobbling back at us. And there's 2 of them in the roost.
Yeah.
And so we sat there, waited on them, and they ended up getting down and going around the hill
Mm-hmm.
and coming up beside us, kind of, like probably 100 yards out from us.
Mm-hmm.
They came straight to us. And then there's 2 of them, so we were both going to shoot, but my dad couldn't get an angle. So I
So
had
you
a good
long gunned your dad.
Yeah.
That boy
It's amazing.
That's a veteran move right there.
So I was able to get a shot off, and he was about to shoot the other one, but it flew down in the holler.
Yeah. Oh, we dang. Did y'all go to hooping and hollering?
It was great.
Yeah.
You tell he's holding back the emotion.
I love it. Do y'all have any special celebrations or anything? Do any dancing or?
No. Nothing.
No.
It's amazing. Oh, what'd y'all do the rest of the day?
I went fishing.
Did you catch any fish?
I caught 4.
Okay. Do you like bass fishing more than everything else?
I like it better than deer hunting.
Better than deer hunting.
What about better than turkey hunting?
No.
Yeah, boy.
Nice. Awesome. How big was he?
The beard was 9,
Okay.
and the spurs were 1 1/4.
There you go.
Hey, now.
There you go. Have you eaten him yet?
Not yet.
Oh, man. Got to make Mom fry him up.
I probably will sometime soon.
I love it.
Chicken
I
nuggets.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Is that's not your first one, is it? You've killed some other
Killed
ones?
one 3 years ago.
Okay.
That was my
okay.
first bird.
Right on.
A little bit of a drought. Was it on the same property that you shot this one on? It was.
Life's not, everybody doesn't get to hunt during the week.
I mean, I went 3 years without killing one.
Yeah, I
I'm
went
just
4.
saying. He's only had a driver's license for a couple months. I mean,
Well, yeah, I guess that's a good point. You're older than you look, Spike.
That's good.
Yes, it is good.
that's great.
Yes, it
That's
is.
great.
Oh, man.
Well, why don't you tell us? You got any other stories you can tell us?
Not really. I ain't
Tell
killed a
nothing?
deer in 3 years. So.
Oh man, tell us about how'd Raleigh treat you?
It was
You went
good.
on a trade show to Raleigh, huh?
First one.
Yeah. Remember how many transactions you did?
A lot. I know that.
It was like, wasn't it like 350 or 380 or something like that?
It was up there.
Yeah, it was up there. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Did you meet any girls?
No.
Okay.
I wish.
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
You want to go to another trade show?
Yeah.
When do you get out of school?
May 15th.
Dang it, he's a week late. He could have gone to DUX.
That's fine. He can polish duck calls while we're gone.
we need to get you the master calendar. And
Get him on Monday.com.
yeah, well, I don't know about that. That's expensive. It's really expensive. But we need to get you, like, we got a couple in July. We even got some in August. When do you start back to school? Do you know?
Middle of August, I think.
Okay.
First leg of game fair.
What if it's an idea?
You
What
should be
if-
very nervous right now.
What if we sent Spike Buck and the Gurk to Game Fair
Oh, God.
with a cameraman Just the two of them.
I would be the cameraman.
Kirk would be like, Spike, I don't really know what we should do next, but I'm thinking that we should.
We'd sell a lot.
Y'all would sell a lot.
Kirk would ask for my help. But, nope, I'm cameraman.
I'll be there holding the microphone.
Trying to get content.
Yep.
Holding the boob mic.
Well, did they gobble good on the roost?
It was good.
They gobble good on the ground?
Yeah.
Get your nerves up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about.
You shaking?
Mm-hmm.
Does your dad like to turkey hunt?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if he turkey hunted or not. I knew he liked to deer hunt, and y'all fish together a good bit, right?
Yeah.
Because you do the high school bass trail.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's cool.
Where's your next tournament?
Tennessee River, April 29th.
What part of the river? Just right here to the river?
Why, Clifton?
Okay, so yeah, that is the river. Okay.
That's like right out of Savannah, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not far.
Yeah. You gonna win?
Probably
What do you
not.
think it'll take to win?
Probably not.
15, 20 pounds.
You think? When is it?
2 weeks.
Oh, it'll take more than 20. The Tennessee River, dog.
It's tough fishing.
It's still the Tennessee River. Somebody that is from there is going to go there and catch 25 pounds, guaranteed.
And do you know how many high school kids there are in Clifton?
Enough
not
that
many.
fish the river.
Yeah, that's right.
See?
And I'm not local.
See?
You gonna go pre-fish it?
If I have time.
Well, you firing right back, ain't you?
Sure am.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Good.
Where did do you know where Spike Buck came from? How'd that come about?
I think Drake started that, didn't you?
Either me or Aaron. It was one of the two of us. Yeah. I think it was a collaboration.
Do you like that it's caught on, or you kind of?
I like it.
Is it a term of endearment around here? But like, does anybody call you Spike Buck outside of here?
Some people do, yeah.
Really? Like at
Some of
school?
my friends at school do.
Are you okay with that, or is
Yeah.
it?
It don't bother me.
Is there anybody that calls you Spike Buck that you're like, don't call me?
You're
Spike
not
Buck
allowed to
again?
call me Spike.
No.
That's good.
Okay, I like it.
Not yet, at least.
I love it.
No new kids come to school. Hey, Spike.
It ain't bothering me.
It's
yet,
Logan
so.
to you.
I love it.
It's Mr.
I can see it
Gilbert.
right now. He's going to be in a fraternity. My name is Logan. They call me Spike Buck. Nice to meet y'all.
He's going to be that junior, senior. Like, his name's Spike. What's his real name? Nobody knows.
Yeah, we don't know. All right, well, good. I'm glad you killed one. We need to get you another one.
I'm going to try to this weekend.
Good. You need to take a shotgun on that Tennessee River trip April 29th. There's definitely some turkeys up in that neck of the woods.
Good idea.
And there's some corp of engineers ground in there in that area.
I think it'd be TVA, but yeah. Same.
Yeah. It's not Mr. P.O. Stead's land. I think it's public, I think.
Just park the boat on the bank and go turkey hunting.
Yeah. Boy, wouldn't that be something? You go rolling up to weigh in. Everybody bringing fish out of the bags. He yanks a turkey out of there.
Yeah, I got
You
20
might
pounds.
win the tournament doing that.
2 fish and a bird for 28 pounds and 4 ounces. Y'all give it up for Logan Gilbert. They call him Spike. And the whole crowd goes, "Meh, meh." I love it.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love it. We're going to have to make sure Russ is in there working on a deer grunt call. We're going to have to make sure it's got a spike setting. Like roll the O-ring up. Oh, well, you're a great employee, Spike.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. So
I enjoy it.
good. What y'all working on back there?
Burning stuff.
Nice. That's there's a lot of things I like about living in the country. Not having to lock my doors and being able, hopefully none of the criminals are listening to this podcast, but not having to lock my truck doors and burning trash out behind the shop is like top. Those are way up there. Yep. So, all right. Well, let's go find out what Aaron and Trip are doing. Get y'all back to work.
Let's go.
Good job on the Good job on the gobbler.
Thank you.
All right, kill another one so we can have a podcast about tagging out. Spike bug out.
Let's hope I'll be back.
That's right.
Well, back again. We appreciate you for stopping by and listening in. We'll catch you on another episode.
Y'all be good. Hey, y'all, this is Spence and Frawley, and just wanted to say thank you for listening to another episode of our podcast. We really, really enjoy producing this podcast and would be really grateful if wherever you get your podcasts, if you would subscribe to the Rolling Thunder podcast and give us a 5-star rating. Somehow, apparently, out there in internet la media land, that helps our podcast to be found by other people like you. So we just want you to know we appreciate you listening, and we'd like to ask you to subscribe and give us a 5-star review and keep on listening.
And unfortunately, recording podcasts don't pay the bills, so we just do this for fun and for y'all, and we want it to grow as bad as y'all want it to grow. So we could really use your help in doing that.
Share it with a friend.
Yes, right. We appreciate y'all stopping by again.
Thanks for listening.